Everyone, I just wanted to let you know I can't hear anything currently on my side.
2, 3. Can you hear me now?
Yep, can hear you now.
Okay, so we just have to talk
You need to
into
speak
the
into the
mic
mic.
very closely when we're talking business.
Good. So first of all, just to introduce myself, I'm Jim Laflamme, Chair of the Charter Commission. These are all the members of the Charter Commission. And we're here to get your public engagement, to talk about the town charter, its revisions. Some of the items that we do need to change are, we need to be in compliance with Maine state statutes. So we have our town attorney, Phil Socia, who's not available this evening, but we have his coworker, Grady Burns, that will address some of those issues that we are mandated to change to comply with state law, sorry. But basically, we've got a few documents. Hopefully you've picked them up. Hopefully you've seen them at Town of Winthrop's website. But Anthony put Understanding Winthrop's Charter Review. That's a great guideline, pretty simple, easy to understand. But basically, a charter is the foundation of our local government and functions as the municipal equivalent to state constitution or federal constitution. So and the commission's goal is to get the involvement of the community, to increase the involvement of the community with suggestions on what they'd like to see changed in the charter. We would take those recommendations at that point when we're through this process, which is a year-long process. And we would present that to the town council to get their approval. And then any changes that are made, all of you, the voters, the citizens of Winthrop, vote on those changes. And that's basically what we're trying to do is, and the thing is we haven't updated the charter since 2007, and most municipalities do that every 5 years. So we've probably got some modernizations that we need to do. We've got some improvements that we can make, but we're looking for input from everybody in the town of Winthrop. So. First of all, is Grady on the Zoom call? He is.
I am.
So what we'd like to do is hear from Grady on some of the state compliance that we have to do with the town charter. And after Grady addresses us, we will open it up to all of you on Zoom in the audience for comment.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And hello, members of the commission. It's nice to see you all in Zoom land. I feel a little bit like the Wizard of Oz right now, kind of looming over you here. But I wanted to cover a couple of preliminary pieces before we jumped into the public hearing. I know it sounds like the members of the commission likely have some specific questions about some specific updates and compliance with state law, and I'm happy to talk through some of those kind of at the high level in terms of where your charter currently exists, but not to repeat the great summary that the chair just made regarding kind of why we're here and what this process is. I just wanted to reiterate a couple of things about kind of the purpose of this public proceeding and the charge of the board here, and just generally what the process looks like as the commission undertakes its work. So as was already said, the whole purpose of the charter here is to establish a framework for the local government. It's a creature of the town's home rule authority. So prior to the 1960s, towns in the state of Maine really had very little independent authority. They were purely creatures of state law. Since 1969, towns have what's called home rule authority, which gives them the power to regulate in areas of local concern that aren't otherwise preempted by state or federal law. So as long as they don't conflict with state or federal statute or constitution, towns are empowered to regulate these local issues and decide how to govern themselves. So a charter delegates legal and administrative authority among different bodies within the town. So without a charter, towns are governed by their town meeting, which is the legislative body for any town that has not adopted a charter. A charter allows towns to take that legislative and executive authority and vest it in some different places. So, for example, in Winthrop, you have your town council. That's permitted by having a charter, which is again setting out that different framework from the general rule of the town meeting. Charters are not legally required for towns to enact, but they do allow towns to adopt more flexible and, if often efficient forms of government to address new and emerging issues, especially as towns get larger and deal with more complex issues. It allows for a smaller body, a town council, to work through some of those policy questions more flexibly than a town meeting could. The process here, and as the chair alluded to, it's a fairly lengthy process that's set out by state statute. So Title 30A, which is the current municipal statutory title, sets out the process that the Charter Commission operates in. So a new charter or revisions to a charter require the establishment of a Charter Commission, which is this body here today. The commission can either be proposed by the municipal officers, so the town council or select board, or by the voters themselves. Once approved, the members are elected to the commission, and the members appoint their officers at a first meeting, which has already happened. Once that first meeting happens, within 30 days, the commission has to hold a public hearing, which is exactly what it's doing today. The purpose of that public hearing is to hear from members of the community about concerns related to the current charter and input on this process. And it's important to keep in mind what a charter is and what a charter is not. A charter is a framework for the town's government. It provides a structure to determine how issues will be decided, how power will be allocated among different parts of town government. It's not a single ordinance, right? So it's not a zoning ordinance. It's not a single policy document. What it's doing is it's creating that process, that framework to address, issues that arise within town government. So with this hearing, the board will continue to do its work over the course of likely the next year. And the commission can hold additional hearings if it wishes or if it determines that it needs to, but it's not legally required to do so after this initial public hearing. Within 9 months of the election that established this commission, the commission will need to produce a preliminary report that includes the text of any proposed changes that the commission is proposing, in terms of revisions to the existing charter. Within 12 months of the election, the commission needs to submit a final report that includes not only the text and explanations of any proposed changes, it will provide a summary of those proposed changes as well, and also a written opinion by your town attorney. So Phil Saucier, myself, or a member of our firm who has reviewed the proposed changes and have confirmed that the proposed changes don't contain any provision that is prohibited by either the United States Constitution or by the Maine Constitution or by federal or state law. And then if needed, the municipal officers can extend the time that this commission does its work by up to 24 months if there are certain things that under state law that the commission needs more time to do. That includes preparing the reports and things of the like. Generally, commissions work within that 12-month window. After the report is submitted, the municipal officers will receive that report and order that those changes be submitted to the voters of the town of Winthrop. Depending on the nature of any proposed changes that this commission comes up with, those changes could be submitted to the voters as either a single question or as multiple questions, each dealing with a specific topic of change. Within 30 days, so after 30 days that the final report is submitted, the commission dissolves as an entity unless there is some pending judicial appeal related to the proposed changes here, which again, relatively rare, but sometimes they happen. In that case, the commission would stay in legal existence until those legal issues are resolved. But normally, this commission's work will be done and dissolved after 30 days of that final submission. And so that is the framework of kind of how we got here and where this commission is going. Again, part of the meeting today is to gather public input about, items of the current charter or, revisions moving forward that, that members of the public may have questions or concerns about, or areas of focus that they may wish for the commission to look at as part of doing their work. In reviewing your charter, and I will say your town manager and town staff did a fantastic job of working through the current charter, which is quite old. I think the last update was about 20 years ago, I believe, if I'm looking at the dates here correctly. And I think one of the major items that the board will want to look at is ensuring that so there are some areas of municipal law related to both schools and school budgets, as well as local election processes that are pretty highly regulated by state law. School budgets and the functioning of school committees being one that has very specific language now, that's relatively new. Was enacted probably around the time that this charter was last amended. That includes again, specific language and specific statutory references of how that budget process needs to proceed. In reviewing the charter, I think the way that the charter is structured in regard to some of those school issues, they seem like they're just looking back at an older statutory regime. So, one of the things that the board will likely want to look at is ensuring that the charter moving forward reflects the current statutory framework that's contained in Title 20A of state statute, which explicitly sets out how some of that school budgeting and school budget referendum process goes. The other components, so throughout the charter, there are references to the old Title 30 of state statute. Title 30 used to contain all of the municipal regulation statutes, so state laws related to how towns and cities needed to enact land use ordinances and undertake, a lot of just kind of general municipal business. There are references throughout the charter to Title 30, which was fully repealed as to the municipal statutes, and all of those are now found within Title 30A, which was enacted after that repeal. So throughout the document, you'll see references to that old Title 30 and some references to statutes that have changed substantially over time, right? And part of the work that this commission may want to look at is ensuring that those references and the frameworks that are set out that reference those old statutes are now referencing those newer statutory provisions and those newer statutory frameworks. Again, especially as related to elections and certain types of ordinance enactment. So specifically certain types of zoning ordinances, and ensuring that the notice and process for those types of actions that are, those legislative actions that are going to be taken by the town council are following the right process under both the Freedom of Access Act in Title I, as well as those provisions of Title 30A. And so that's my basic spiel here. And again, I think the second order of concern, your town manager has pointed out a number of places where the charter refers to committees that may no longer exist within the town. departments that may no longer exist in the state of Maine, and roles that don't really reflect how the government today really functions as a practical matter. So, one thing that this commission may want to look at is, you know, how how would you propose to structure any of these changes to, how these roles are defined within the charter, and ensuring that the committees that may be established by the charter are actually are things that the town continues to need, or if there are other structures that you may wish to include here within the charter. And so with that, I'm happy to answer any specific questions you may have, but I wanted to just provide that broad overview to hopefully guide some of the work that you're going to be doing today.
Okay, at this point in time, at 6:18, we will open up public comment for anybody on the Zoom, anybody in the audience, any committee member. Two.
It's on Zoom. But this is everybody's chance to ask questions, give feedback on what you want to see, any concerns. This is your time to do that.
You said towns are empowered to regulate further, to not be in conflict with state and federal laws. Are we also empowered? There's a thumbs up. Deregulate back to baseline state law.
Would you like me to address that question, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, Grady, if you could.
Sure. So the short answer is it depends on the nature of the state or federal law. So some laws create floors, that minimum regulatory standards that the town may be prohibited from regulating in a looser way. So some areas that you see this are in, for example, the regulation of alcohol is one where there are specific structures for the licensing process for alcohol service that the town really wouldn't be able to fall under in terms of its regulation. There are other state laws and state statutes that set a ceiling, and really allow for broader regulation from below. So the answer is it depends, but largely when we're talking about the town's charter, the town has a lot of flexibility for how it wants to structure its form of government, the allocation of responsibilities it wants to give between, say, the town council, the town manager, the town meeting, if that's something that is still operative within the town. So that allocation of authority is something that is largely up to the town, but there are going to be specific areas of regulation that as to specific policies, right, that the town council may enact later that might be subject to some level of restriction. Apart from that, the state and federal constitution set out certain baselines of due process and the protection of fundamental rights that the town would not have the authority to supersede. So it's a good question, but the answer is that it can be complicated in the specific cases. But this board's work, the primary statutes that you'd be looking at are Title 30A, Title 20A, and then Title 21A, which relate to the regulation of municipalities, the regulation of schools and school boards, and then the regulation of elections. Those three statutes are contain probably 95% of the standards that would potentially conflict with a provision of your charter. But in most cases, the town will have flexibility to, to chart its path outside of some very specific provisions that are contained within those state statutes.
Thank you, Grady. Santi? Comments, feedback?
My name is Scott Knox. I'm always interested in what does good look like? And I would urge the commission to spend some time thinking about what does good look like in terms of a charter and what does good look like in terms of a government. What I heard from the attorney about a goal or a thing to do is bring the current charter document in line with current regulations and code and stuff that has changed. But I always like to look at what does the competition look like? What does the good town government look like? That's a hard question. I recognize that. But when we were looking at planning board regulation changes and things like that, and how planning boards operate in the area, and I took a look at planning board regulations for towns of comparable size to Winthrop. And I found a huge difference. There were some planning board regulations and processes that looked like they worked really, really well documented, lots of visibility, lots of this, lots of that. And there were some that looked like it was kind of a shambles. So there's, like anything else, there's some great examples. There's some that are poor, and then there's a lot of mediocre in between. But I guess I would urge you to spend some time thinking about what the best of town governments that are somehow comparable to Winthrop look like, how they operate, and what their document looks like. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments?
My name's Michael Levy. Standing here at the wrong time and place, but we'll see. You'll tell me if I am.
Fine.
As I see, my particular interest in a new charter has to do with elections and the method of elections. As I understand it, we presently elect perhaps more, three multi-member governing boards. We elect a town council, we elect a school committee, and we elect library trustees. If there's more, but those are the ones I can think of. And I don't know if the current charter addresses how those elections are done. But I do believe that I think with town council, for example, I think there's 7, and I think we might elect 4 one year and 3 the next year, or something like that. And I would like the Charter Commission in its work to consider using a method of election which is different than the one we presently use. When I go to the polls and we're electing 3 members of the town council, for example, I'm told to vote for 3. Every other voter's asked to vote for 3. And there is potential negative risk about doing that. I'll try to explain it quickly. Suppose that 70% of the voters in the community are in favor of a mining ordinance, and 30% are opposed to it. Well, and then there's 6 candidates who run for the position. 3 of them say, we're for the for the ordinance, and 3 of them say we're opposed to the ordinance. Now the community will have voted 70-30, essentially 2/3 to 1/3. But if the voters get together and the 70% vote for the same 3 candidates of their choice, what happens is that the majority becomes 100% of the town council. And election people call that majority capture. And so what happens is that the voices on the town council do not represent the community proportionally. Well, there's another method called proportional ranked choice voting. And that's what I would like you to consider. Proportional ranked choice voting is so hard to explain that I'm not even going to give it a chance. I will only say that when you go and you're electing 3 and there's 6 candidates, you can vote for all of them in order of preference. This is my first preference, second preference. That's just like our current ranked choice voting that we do statewide. Then a computer figures out how to properly allocate these votes, and it increases the chance of 1 member of this 3-member board being in that 30% minority, so that when you sit at the town council, you don't have a unanimous frame of mind, you have a proportional frame of mind. And it seems to me that for good government, it's always healthy to have a representative point of view on the council, so that the minority can learn from the majority, and the majority can learn from the minority, and people are in a better position to govern and make compromise. So my request is, with respect to those 3, any multi-member body that's elected by the town, I've named 3, I don't know if there's more, I would request that you look into proportional ranked choice voting as a method of election for those offices. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Do you have anything on screen? No.
I do. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Sandy Steele. I'm on the phone. I'm not able to be in person tonight, but in reference to what they were just discussing about the changing of the voting, I'm not opposed to it, but I would certainly hope that if you guys are going to take on a process like that, that you research everything and you make sure that we're able to handle something like that. Because right now, I don't see the way our states run that it's actually the best method that works well for everyone, in my opinion. And it is complicated, and I'm not sure that we're always good at complicated. I think it's important for everyone's vote to be heard. And if you're going to do it, I certainly hope that you guys take the time to learn all about it, not just do it because it sounds like a good idea. Really research it and make sure that it's something that will work for our community, not just because it's the way we do it now. That's all I have to say. I hope that you guys really research everything.
Thank you, Sandy.
All righty.
We will definitely, anything that is recommended to us, we're going to get everybody involved to make the right decision that benefits the community. So ranked choice voting is a little confusing, as Mike stated in his presentation. So it would be something that we would definitely investigate to make sure that it is for the best interest of the community.
Super,
Appreciate
thank you
your
so
comment.
much.
Shay, you're on.
Yes, I just want to reiterate that this group is largely of one percentage of the town, and I just want to reiterate again that the town of Winthrop has 48.34% male and 51.66% female. So even though this committee is largely based with only one person being female and the rest being male, I would really like the committee to keep that in mind when you're going forward and making decisions, that more than half the population is female, and our voices need to be heard as well and need to be considered.
Thank you, Shay. I agree with you. The more engagement that we can get, the better that the government will be for the town and for the citizens. So, we promoted this meeting quite a bit on Facebook. I even put some posters up in some of the most frequented businesses in the town last week. I've shared it on Facebook. I've made some phone calls to get people involved. And I think the engagement is a big deal. We need to hear from the people in the town, and I don't think we've had that engagement. I mean, I've been to a few town council meetings there's not a lot of people at these meetings, but yet when you go to the grocery store, everybody wants to complain. So I challenge everybody, and if you're listening, talk to people, get them to give us some ideas, and we welcome that. We really do. And that's our whole goal, is to make sure that anything that the charter recommends to the council to go to the voters is for the best interest of this community. Any other questions, comments, commission members?
Like to ask the town attorney, what is the town manager's role in this charter commission?
So the charter commission itself is the body that is responsible for the commission's work. The town manager, as the chief administrator for the town of Winthrop, it functions as in that way. So the town manager is not a member of the commission, but along with town staff are responsible for staffing, acting as a liaison between this commission and myself, for example, if there are additional legal questions that the commission has, and to offer any exactly the way that the manager has done already, going through and providing staff's own set of recommendations and talking through with this commission from town staff's perspective what issues they have encountered with the current framework, and doing some of that preliminary work as well. I think additionally, once this commission starts undertaking the work of preparing the report, town staff will have a role, along with your town attorney, in ensuring that report is prepared correctly, has all of the components that are required, and is properly, and that proper notice is provided for the work of this board, as well as moving forward with the publication of the report, and working through those processes. So that broadly would be the role of the town manager here. And if the town manager has any other input on that, I would be happy to hand that over to your town manager as well. So a large one, I guess, is how I would frame that in a short way.
Does a town manager need to be present for a meeting? Charter meeting?
It's not legally required, but as a practical matter, having staff being able to provide proper notice through the channels that the town has to provide notice through, ensuring that technical provisions are taken care of in terms of securing the meeting space, ensuring that Zoom is properly taken care of, preparing agendas, and those items. Town staff, I think, will serve a very important role in ensuring that the work of this commission is properly facilitated, and providing any guidance and assistance that this commission might need to undertake its work.
Understood. A little bit of a, we'll be upfront with everybody. And I would like to make a motion on the floor that if the town manager wants to meet with any of us, thankfully, he does it with all of us, not just one of us.
Second that.
So, could I just be heard on that briefly?
Go ahead.
Oh, yes, Grady, go ahead.
Thank you. So I just want to ensure as a practical matter, so often what will need to happen, or the most efficient way to ensure that the housekeeping items between meetings are taken care of, may involve direct conversations between the chair and town staff, to ensure that, notice has gone out, or that the agenda is set, things of that nature. It might be very difficult for that type of communication, that type of housekeeping communication to happen efficiently if a full meeting is required for any sort of communication with the town manager. Certainly, if there is any communication that is occurring from this board acting in its official capacity, and generally if there are 3 or more members of this board that are meeting to discuss official business, that would constitute a public meeting under the Freedom of Access Act, and would be required to be, fully noticed, have an opportunity for public, not participation, but at least public notice and public attendance at that. But there are a lot of communications that may happen just on the administrative side that would fall short, certainly, of a public meeting, but might be necessary for the commission to continue its work in an efficient way. So I just wanted to throw that out there. There are certain requirements under FOA in terms of, if this board is, if enough of a nexus of members of this board are communicating with each other or communicating with the town manager, then yes, absolutely, those should happen in a public meeting. But I would just note that there are often administrative matters that the town manager or town staff may need to deal with between meetings that might be made more difficult by having to confer with the whole board in a public session.
Is there any law saying that we couldn't request him to town manager, town clerk, or whoever to not have a single member meet with a single member for discussion?
No, there's no specific law against that. But again, any communication that any member of the board would have with the town manager would be it would be a public record. So if there was an email that was exchanged between any member of the board and the town manager, or between any members of the board regarding the board's business or town business, those would be public records that are publicly accessible. So certainly, if as a policy the board would like to ensure that it's seeing any communications that are being made related to the commission's business, that I'd be happy to have the town manager chime in if there's already kind of a system in place for those communications. But those communications would be publicly accessible in any event.
I just think, we've told everybody we're going to be very transparent. And I think all members, including the town manager, needs to be very transparent. And I don't think a meeting with just one member was transparent. The request stands.
Sure. What problem are you trying to solve exactly for just transparency as a whole? To me,
Well,
I'll just tell you, I don't know if I can vote yes to that. My daily job is with government entities around the state. And it is the formal government's job to empower, protect, and prevent government from functioning either correctly, erroneously, or not at all. In my opinion, preventing the town manager from meeting with any one individual is going to be preventing this charter from doing its job. I think we will rely on them significantly more as we go through, and having a formal committee meeting every time we speak to Anthony or to Deb is not going to be efficient use of government time, having to call a meeting every time we want to speak to Anthony. I, for one, for example, am going to a conference this week where Anthony will also be attending. Which, does that mean that we need to call a formal committee meeting while I'm there, or does that mean that I wouldn't be allowed to go? To me, it just seems it's a waste of time when it comes to this, and I think what we can do as a board members is to take the efficient time and be respectful of each other and not talk about anything that should be transparent.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm good. Thank you. We have meetings. Why can't we meet at the meetings and everything be discussed in front of all of us? Why not? So, does anybody have a problem with that?
I just have to, am I good?
Go ahead.
Okay. So as your appointed council member, it's going to be my duty to remind you as well that he is our employee, and that the council has decided to hire him and keep him as our town manager. So we're paying him to function in that capacity. And then also the practical matter of whether he has to work with the secretary to do minutes, say Deb's out, it will fall on Anthony's shoulders because we don't have the staff to do that. Now, if the concern, and I guess I understand the concern, I think. If you're concerned with like undue influence, especially when it comes around to the charter and how it deals with the manager, then we can certainly always as a group address how we want to proceed. I guess blanket policies aren't going to can probably work. And I think there would actually be some legal hurdles to saying you can't have a conversation one-on-one with the town manager, especially as everyone here is a resident of the town and a taxpayer. So, I think there would be some legal issues with that. But again, as your council appointed member, I would just remind you that he is our employee. If you have issues, there is an avenue to address those through the council. And as a practical matter, like I said, as things come up, if you have concerns, bring them up. If you're concerned that you may not want him present when we talk about the management, I think he would be a huge asset because he has good opinions. You don't have to adopt them. Like, he's not here twisting anybody's arm. So I would just say, keep that in mind as we move forward.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Dick. Any other?
Can I have a minute? This is Sandy Steele again.
Sandy,
Can you hear me?
we can hear you.
So here I am. I'm going to go back to a few meetings back where my concern was just what's happening right now. And it didn't take very long to get into this meeting to see I was worried about. We on a charter and my concern that this charter group was put together to work on charter, but the main goal was to also discuss the town manager. They're two separate things. This group is made to make the charter for our community, and that we need to gather as a group, not to sing town manager. And I've expressed these concerns, and we are second meeting here, and it's already starting to happen. As a taxpayer, if you're going to start eliminating the town manager or saying he can't speak or can speak, that from the outside looking in tells me that you're trying to shut this down, and you're doing exactly what I was worried about when I brought it up at the other meeting. So my hope is that what I said prior, that this was an aim to attack our town manager and not to focus on our charter, I certainly hope this isn't happening, because sitting here listening, that is exactly what it sounds like. And the most important thing to remember here is you are elected to work on our charter, not to go after the town manager. There is a time and place for that. And I am not liking what I'm hearing right now. And that makes me feel like everything everyone said to me after that meeting, it was not true. And I'm not okay with this. So I hope that we can get back on track and do what's best for our community and work on the charter and not bring our personal beliefs into this for other reasons. There's a time and place for that too. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy.
Can I respond to that?
Go ahead.
It's a matter of being transparent. This is all it is, Sandy.
Dickie,
Go ahead, ladies first.
I understand the transparency, but sitting here listening and trying to do this, you're asking for one thing, but you're doing it in a non-transparent way. So we just have to play nice in the sandbox, all of us. We may not all agree. Believe me, we do not all agree on everything that is about to come before us, but we need to work together. And starting this soon, coming after the town manager, who is a pivotal role in this because he is our town manager. Whether we agree with everything he does or not, that is not the issue here. The issue here is that we are working together as a group to make a charter that will, this kind of stuff is wasting time and is not necessary. And everything needs to be transparent on both sides. That's what I'm saying, Dickie. And I've talked to you about this after the last meeting. So I don't know what more to say, but we've really got to work on that and work on the charter, not all of this other stuff that is really wasting time.
How about that? Maybe there's a middle road here, okay? Maybe we can do is say any meetings that are going to be with individual charter members should be posted, and one other charter member may choose to attend. Something. There's got to be a middle road here. We're going to end up at loggerheads.
So I want to address Sandy's statements about attacking the town manager. I don't think anybody's attacking Anthony. And to Dick's point, I have met with Anthony for his assistance. This public sector is all new to me. When you grow up in the private sector, there's some things I would say right now that in the private sector that I wouldn't say here, but it's totally different for me. And I need guidance and assistance to chair this committee. But that doesn't change our goal as a commission, which is to revise the charter where we need to comply with state statutes, to better the community, to get more involvement in the community from everybody, not just certain people, but everybody, because it's your government, it's your town. And that's the way I look at it. So, I mean, I think having Anthony as our town manager to kind of guide us, I mean, I didn't do this. Anthony did this. So I think he's bought into revising the charter and helping us make this better. So there's certain things that I know people want in this town. There's certain things that I want. And I think Anthony knows what I want. We've had that conversation. Does he agree? I don't know if he agrees. I'm going to go through and review this charter with all of us. And we're going to make the necessary changes that the people of this community want. It's not about attacking people. It's about working together for one common goal, and that's to better this community. And you know, quite frankly, I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's that bad today. Okay. You know, my kids grew up here. They'd still live here. They love it. Dick's kids grew up here. They love it. Right. We probably, a lot of us have grandkids here at the table that go to the school system. It's been fine. There's things that we need to do to just improve the government, improve and make revisions to the charter. Michael made a good point on the elections. That's something we'll dive into. Am I going to sit here and say, yeah, we're going to do that, Mike, and not deliver? No, that's not the Charter Commission. We'll investigate it and let you know. But I don't, you know, the attacks and the infighting, and you know, there's in any town that you go to, there's always cliques of people that believe in certain things, and that's fine. That's their opinion. But we have a service in this commission to serve this community for what they really want. Okay. And we'll find that out, right? This is the first public hearing. A little disappointed in the turnout. I thought we were going to have a full house, right, Deb? I told Deb, I said, it's 95 degrees. They're all showing up. It's air conditioning in here, right? But we tried hard. But you know, I'm open to any, you know, if there's a lot of people listening, I don't know, I can't see that far, but we're open to written comments. And hopefully I can share all of our email addresses. And if you want to reach out, you feel more comfortable reaching out to Aaron or Andy or Mick or myself, that's fine. We'll get answers to your questions. It might be a process, but we'll get answers to your questions. Does anybody else have any comments? Commission members? So we'll close out the public hearing at 6:54. And I have to do that. On to. So item number 12 on the agenda is Town Manager Anthony Wilson, Town Clerk Deb Nichols regarding their review of the charter. We'll come back to that. The business. Anthony?
So first of all, if you folks are done with Mr. Burns and Grady Burns, not Bruce Burns, he's going to be with us for a while, but Grady Burns, maybe we should cut him loose.
Yeah, I think we're all set. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and could I just had one more housekeeping item, if you'll indulge me, Mr. Chair, and sorry, Anthony, for
Yes.
taking your podium time here. So the last thing I wanted to note, just as a housekeeping matter, it actually relates to communications. My understanding is that each of the commissioners have now been provided with an official Winthrop email address, which I understand, from the town, official communications will be sent to you from that email. I would highly, highly, highly encourage the members of the commission for any of your official business to use that official email address, so that if there is a subsequent Freedom of Information or Freedom of Access Act request for records related to the work that this commission has done. It will allow the town to quickly and efficiently find those necessary communications without having to potentially, scroll through personal emails. If personal email accounts are used and they're commingled between your non-public communications. So keep in mind that any substantive work about policy or things like that, the board should generally hold those for a public meeting like the one you're having right here. But for any communications that you're going to have related to this work, I would just make a plug to please use your official email accounts, just as a safety measure for yourselves too. It'll prevent you from having to turn over your cell phone or something like that later if there is a FOA request for communications related to the work that this board has done. So with that, I think that is the last scary thing I have to say for the board. I'm excited for the work that you're going to do, and as this board continues this work, we are happy to provide any assistance that you need moving forward.
Thank you, Grady. Appreciate your time.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Anthony, you're up.
So one of the, okay, I'm going to let you into the meeting real quick. So just to emphasize something that Mr. Grady Burns just mentioned is when I spoke with him about your emails, he said, yeah, one of the things you want to avoid is ending up in a judge's chambers and him with your device and saying, now, your password, please, which is a possibility if you're using your personal email address for town business. So again, I don't think anyone wants to face that. As far as what you have before you that Mr. Burns referenced of a marked up version of the charter, both the town clerk and I have been over this document numerous times, just trying to be as thorough as we possibly can with it. And so I'm not really here to, and neither is she, to talk about our notes in that, because I think there'll be ample opportunity with your work moving forward as we go through section by section. You may want to reference those notes. And so I think that'd probably be the appropriate time to do that. But we are here to answer any just questions that you might have tonight about the work that we've put in so far in reviewing the charter and just either raising questions for you, for the town's attorney, or just sharing what we know about how municipal government best operates. And if not, I'm happy to.
You want to open it up for questions?
Yes, sir.
Any questions for Anthony?
Well, I guess, Gil Soucy here. I guess, Anthony, would like a chance to review it before we pass judgment on anything, if that's okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I've just been given this tonight, so I'd like to take a look at it and see what makes sense. And then, of course, we're going to be discussing Articles 1 and 2 at our next meeting, so we should probably all come prepared to have seen these changes and, make whatever markups we want to make and then go forward from there. So do appreciate the work that you folks have done. It saves us, again, it jumpstarts the commission, I think. And then whether we agree with it or not, we'll let you know at a later time.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it gets to a point, another point that Mr. Burns just made in just talking about communication. I've established a charter commission email string. So when I'm emailing one of you, I'm emailing all of you, unless you email me with a specific question. Like, I think Jim has emailed me just a couple of very minute questions. And so I've responded directly to him. But as we're sending out materials, and this is how we're going to be communicating with you, is via email. You're going to be getting all of this via email with all the hyperlinks to all the background information. And we are aware that there are some of you have not yet activated your town account. And let me just say, it's really, really critical that you do that because, again, this is how we're going to feed you all the information that you're going to want and need during this process.
You sat me too far away from the microphone. For those of us that are counselors, are you going to send that right to the council website? I mean, we already have a town council address.
Yes. So everyone here has a town address, regardless of whether you're a commission member or a town councilor.
Right.
Or both. It's the same email address. So your town council email address is part of the Charter Commission email string.
Okay, that's all I want to know. If I set up a new one.
Yeah. So Andy, everything that I'm sending to the other 7 of you plus Aaron, you are receiving.
Thank you, sir.
And if there's no other questions, I'm happy to sit down.
Thank you, Anthony. Absolutely, Deb.
Wait now. My goal my hope for this commission is to, I use this document daily when I prepare formal record keeping for the council. I need clear definitions on how we're going to create those orders, resolutions, ordinances, how they should be posted. It's an important document for a clerk to use when we prepare records. And so the document that we have now is quite vague in how we tackle those issues. And I end up referring back to how it's always been done or making a judgment call sometimes. And I really want clear definitions on how record keeping should be kept. And in addressing the orders, the resolutions, those need to be defined more clearly. I'm hoping that this commission can take that on and really give me a better working document so I have a good resource to work with. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. Yes, Andy.
Trust, Deb, that you would guide us because you know what you need. Okay.
Please, once you've had a chance to look through my comments, please reach out and I'm happy to attend a meeting and address those directly with you and provide more feedback. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments? Go ahead, Aaron.
I just want to, again, thank you both for putting in the work here. Having served on the council and looking at the charter, I think the mission here should be, with all of us, geared towards making sure that we're in compliance with state law as it is, and then B, ensuring that when we have, our town clerk and the manager set forth with tasks, that they have a document that's going to clearly state what, that authority is and the mechanism to put into place, when we do decide to do ordinances or keep them up or address controversies such as the mooring ordinance or the mining situations and stuff. We want to take the time to go over this and formulate changes that make our government more accountable, more transparent, and more efficient, that works for all of the residents. But we also want to make sure that there is mechanisms that A, drive engagement, and B, kind of make us elected officials accountable to, kind of what people want. I know that I have my viewpoints on the council a lot of time, but I sometimes have to put those aside and realize that there are a much broader range of viewpoints within town. So I'm always trying to remind myself that, I might think one way, but there may be other people in town. And it's my job in that position to represent all those viewpoints. So I think we really need to target and take this opportunity to give our town employees the tools that they need, and also to give us on the council the ability to say, yes, we're doing the job that we were elected to do, and we are responsible to the voters. And this is going to be the opportunity to do that. And that also, you know, kind of in my last year here, I think one of the things that got me more so interested in this was also the relationship between the council, the municipal side of government, and the Board of Education and the school department, because we cannot, and we've done this in the past and have come to so many areas of conflict and dysfunction when we did not work together. And so this is an opportunity to put that in writing, to be able to establish it's all coming out of the same pot. That money comes out of the same place. It is a taxpayer-funded institution. So we have a duty to make sure that we're doing what we can to the best of our ability. And so that's, you know, and so any decision moving forward needs to be with that in mind.
Thank you, Aaron.
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yes, Gil.
All right. A question for Anthony on this one, and Dawn, I guess. The changes that you've marked up yourselves, were those recommended by an attorney, or have they been reviewed? Or this is just the first brush at it? Obviously, it's a draft, but.
Yeah, no, so these are just my thoughts, the town clerk's thoughts. If you agree with these, they would still need to be vetted by the town's attorney.
Okay.
You know, I'm aware of, as Mr. Burns said, some areas of the charter that are in conflict with state law. And in some cases, you will see my notes in there say, well, you know, Title 30 no longer exists, or this, you know, and so, but when we're, as Mr. Burns said, when we're all said and done with this, the town's attorney is going to vet everything that you folks approve.
All right, gotcha. Thank you. And to echo Aaron's words, we had quite the whoop-de-doo with the quarry issue. And when it came time to look at some of the process and procedures, it was so vague as to, it could have gone either way. And again, not trying to disparage anybody anywhere, but they made the best decision they could. But again, with a sharp engineer or a sharp attorney, we could be, you know, having a quarry blowing those particles down to the school system right now. So again, the application wasn't complete. I'm not going to revisit the whole thing, but, you know, there should be processes and procedures in here that are nice and clear for everybody. Not trying to set the rules for the planning board, but I think setting the rules for the charter and how we view these things and how we go forward, I think it's critical to our well-being for the next 5 years anyways, or maybe 10. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Dick.
I think it should be as simple as possible as well. The policies we make are very simple, understood by everybody, not complicated, that we don't have to call an attorney and say, hey, what does this mean?
I agree.
Yep.
Agreed.
Good.
Yes, Anthony.
So you folks know what's being said online here. I'm going to read through some of the chat messages here.
Okay.
So Joe said that a charter commission email could be created and CC'd on all communication that sends out automatically to include all members, and that is in fact being done.
Yeah.
He further said a motion could be made that all emails include the charter commission being CC'd. I mean, we do that as a matter of practice, as I think Mr. West and Mr. White can attest to when it comes to the town council.
And again, just to reiterate, that is a public record. So anybody has access, period, to any email, whether it's individually to the town clerk, to the town manager. You can FOIA that information at any time.
And then Shannon McDonald also noted that when the agenda gets posted online, a lot of documents are hyperlinked, which is to make them, as accessible to the public as possible, so that we're being as transparent as we possibly can be. So all the information that you've gotten here today, these folks out in the audience had access to last week when the agenda got posted.
Excuse me. I think going back to Joe's email, and I don't know Joe, but I think what he's saying is anything that gets sent to us as a charter commission should probably be made public as well. And Joe, I apologize if I've got that backwards here, but I think that would create an awful lot of pixels out in the atmosphere. But again, what you send us are the documents related to these meetings. There's really no personal communication going on those emails that I've seen so far. So, the documents are there, like you said, and Shannon said, they're all hyperlinked and visible to everybody. It just doesn't have an email address that, our email address attached to it, which is all.
So Gil, what you're saying is you think Joe wants to get CC'd on all the communication between the Charter Commission.
Can we bring back that comment from Joe?
Maybe Joe can clarify that if he's still on there, but.
Website,
And you can
get all those emails, okay?
Well, wait a second.
Well, I don't know about you getting
Not- not
emails.
not emails, but agenda items, minutes, so forth. Yes, you certainly can. So let's see, there's a chat that just popped up here. Let's see if this is Joe. Just members being CC'd. So he's just saying, I think what Joe is saying, what one gets, all should get, and that is
We
our
do that
practice.
now, yeah. Thank you, Anthony. Yes. Well, that's what we're doing now. If you have your Winthrop, Maine.gov email set up. We gotta get that set up. If you haven't. Any other comments? We'll move on to, where's my agenda? Did you steal that? There. Item number 13. Discussion and consideration of a Charter Commission mission statement, which I sent to all members of the commission, along with Anthony. The mission statement for this charter committee, or commission rather, the Charter Commission is committed to a thorough review of the charter, to community engagement, to understand citizens' needs, and to proposing revisions that promote efficiency, transparency, and accountability in local government for the benefit of all residents. To approve the mission statement.
Second. Yep, discussion. Dick brought up a good point about the language of the charter itself. Should we put a line in there or a phrase about keeping the language as viable to lay people? In other words, you don't have to be an attorney to read it and understand it.
Well, go ahead. Okay, Carrie.
Actually, I did not get.
Oh,
I actually played around with the mission statement myself since we had discussed.
correct.
This is.
Sure. Absolutely.
Looked at other mission statements of other towns, some ideas. The Winthrop Town Charter Committee wishes to build upon the needs and values of Winthrop, engaging community members, listen to be involved, tribute input, goal, enhancing and promoting confidence, current and future generations of Winthrop Town Charter Committee views, safety, trust, really sick of the word transparency, diversity, inclusion, communication, compassion. Let's build the future of be the best it can be in reviewing.
Yes, Andy.
Suggest Could I, the sharing microphones thing is kind of, I don't know what I do without him to stick it in my face. Yeah, like clerk. But could I motion to table the mission statement so that you and Carrie can get together? And they're both very good, and I'd like to see the larger part of both of them in one statement.
Andy, don't we have to have a meeting if Carrie and I, no, sorry.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to withdraw my motion and postpone it, further discussion, so you can,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
mutual agenda.
The two of you can collaborate, and we're probably going to come up with something it'll be good. Because Carrie hit a few bases, you didn't, and you hit a few bases, Carrie didn't.
So
Is there anything in either one of these that you all feel is important? Okay.
Yeah. You just combine them, that'll be
Sound
great.
good, yeah.
Yeah, combine
You
them.
can take out transparency on
So-
the side.
Yeah, we'll take out transparency of mine, but
Observability.
I mean, everything that you said is on, it's just right on target, right? But my definition of a mission statement is probably 1 to 2 sentences. That kind of covers everything that you said, right? So we'll work together on it. We'll table the motion to be reviewed at the next meeting.
Mission statements
Yeah,
No, for other.
for other towns.
Yeah.
no, yeah.
Be as succinct as I could, but
I just tried to,
some of them.
capture everything that we want to accomplish as a commission. But we'll figure it out, Carrie. Thank you. Thank you. Very good.
Give Bruce the motion to table, I'll second. And if we have any or anybody, and then discussion. Chat GPT.
Chat GPT, yeah.
We just came up with a policy on that, I think, somewhere, right? And then,
All in favor to table that motion?
Andy?
Thank you. Okay. Item 14.
and it should have been emailed, but
As presented.
Second. Is next steps for our September 9th meeting, which will be reviewing the first 2 articles of the charter. And hopefully we'll all spend some time in the next month to really gather the information, come prepared to have a good discussion about what needs to be changed. And I think the guideline that Anthony and Deb put together will give us a lot of guidance through that on what needs to change to meet Maine state statutes and what we would all like to see for proposed changes.
So on your background memo regarding next steps, you'll note that there's one day that's highlighted. So you decided to meet on the second Tuesday of each month. And in November, the second Tuesday falls on November 11th, Veterans Day. So if you folks don't mind coming up here, I'll come up here. But otherwise, we may want to set a different date for the November meeting other than November the 11th.
Monday's usually a council meeting, right? But that's the first Monday of the month. First and third. This would be the second Monday.
uh,
We'll move
So if you wanted to move,
Monday, the 10th.
Yep, you guys good with that?
Monday, the 10th, November 10th.
And
That's November's meeting. It'll be Monday instead of a Tuesday because Tuesday is Veterans Day. Yes.
Of November.
Any other discussion, any other business to discuss?
We're not quite at that state yet, I don't think. But what I would like to do is for the committee to think about, because of the voluminous amount of work, the diversity of opinions, I think we should have one regular meeting and then what is purported as a workshop meeting. So it would be 2 meetings a month. That way, we're able to thoroughly go over everything. The public will have access, and maybe as we move further along in this process, we'll get more public support here in person or on Zoom. But I think 2 times a month, Mondays or Tuesdays, would probably be best served for all of us in order to move this process forward and put the time in that's required to consider all the opinions and form a consensus here so we can move forward.
Probably Tuesdays, because that's what we're doing now.
I'm sorry, say again?
And I
3
think this is Tuesday, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I thought you said 3 times a month. I didn't.
No, twice.
Okay,
It's
twice.
like the same format as we use for the town council.
Absolutely.
And I like to stick to Tuesdays because it makes scheduling easier. You just block out your Tuesdays, all the way to it.
So Bruce, would
motion.
you, well, for, I guess, questions, I mean, would this be an official charter commission meeting where we?
No,
invite the
anytime we
public?
sit down as a group, it's an
Or would it
official
be a,
meeting.
well, but would it be a workshop for the commission to work on some of the changes that are proposed by the public or by
Absolutely.
commission members?
Absolutely.
We got to clarify, if it's a meeting, we've got to put a 10-day notice in front of the public, right? So. Okay, my mistake.
No, yeah, no need for a 10-day notice when we give ample notice, but if it's requirements for a public hearing would be a 10-day notice, and you wouldn't be having that at a workshop. It'd be a regularly posted meeting with an agenda, so.
And can you just discuss about like actionable items at a workshop?
I don't think you're prohibited from making a motion at a workshop, as long as it's documented in a public meeting and voted upon, you're fine to do so, yeah. Yep.
Yep, can do that.
Okay.
Sure. I mean, we're all here, if we all agree on something and have an opportunity to move forward past it, then I'm all for.
Fine with me.
I mean, if everybody's in agreement, I can put
Any
that
other
in a
discussion
form of
on that?
motion.
Yep.
If you'd prefer.
Yeah, if that works for everybody. If the room is available, yeah, I'm sure we'd be here.
And then you would probably want to decide whether, if 3 people show up, is that going to be something?
Well, if we don't have a quorum, obviously, I
Is
mean,
quorum, right?
we
Three
can't
quorum,
vote on
3 is
anything.
quorum. Right, but do you want to say, work, or if it would be up to us to really make?
What it allows us to do is explore each one of the topics a little bit more in depth.
So why are we calling it a workshop?
My guess is it's,
We can call it a meeting if you want.
Any,
I mean, that's the avenue you're going down, right? If we can make motions at a workshop, it's a meeting.
So do we need to delineate it or can we just say Anthony?
so it wouldn't necessarily be agenda items. It would be to maybe work on what's going to be the agenda items at the next meeting. So it would be like if we look at our agenda here, so September 9th, Articles 1 and 2 granting of the powers to the town and the town council. So the workshop would be for us in that setting to discuss and talk about changes. And then we would, in theory, make those motions and actions on the September 9th. Doesn't mean that you can't make motions, but I think best practice would be to stick with this public notice and the agenda items that are published.
Once a month.
Right.
Anthony?
I have a suggestion for you. So I like the idea of workshopping the articles, and what we've tried to do with the schedule is break those up into bite-sized chunks for each meeting. So, we don't have more than 2 articles. And in fact, the first article of the charter is very short. It's just 1 paragraph. And then the second article, maybe it was one of the longest articles, it's about the council. But what I might suggest is on September the 9th, let's workshop those 2 articles. You tell us what you would like to see in those articles. We come back the meeting in October. The first item on the agenda is some new language for those 2 articles. You look at that, you consider it, and then we workshop articles 3 and 4 at that meeting. So you're workshopping it at one meeting, and then you're considering it at the next meeting, along with workshopping whatever the next 1 or 2 articles are.
And I think the benefit of that we'll start to understand what it's going to look like and what it's going to take for us to make decisions.
And I think we've got the flexibility to do that, right? So if we need.
We don't always have a second council meeting.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make sure that the general public knows that they're invited to these workshop meetings or whatever they are.
Yeah,
So I just want to make sure that they're more than welcome to come.
We can do that, right, Deb?
winthropmaine.gov/subscribe. You can get all of the alerts, news, urgent alerts, meeting agendas, minutes, everything that we do in a public setting, we put on our website with the option for people to sign up for the alerts for that. And we put it on our Facebook page. And when it's an important meeting like this, then we boost it on Facebook in order to reach a wider audience. I know the chair is a little disappointed in the turnout for this public hearing. This is the most I've ever seen at any.
Thank you for coming.
No,
Appreciate that.
This is the most I've ever seen at any public hearing that I've ever been to.
That's disappointing.
So
But thank you.
That's government.
All public meetings, whether they're labeled a workshop, are public meetings and they're open to the public for comment if you allow it.
Great. Thank you, Deb. Carrie, I'm sorry.
when we do start meetings, I just had an idea, because not everyone can read these. Should we start a meeting by not after the
We should have done,
introducing
mis-
ourselves?
Yeah, we
Because
should have done a
It
roll
would be a
call.
different audience every time. And I just think that would be out of courtesy. All of us should just say our names.
Yeah, specifically as it related to this meeting, we should have done that.
So, Mr. Chair, there was also a comment just now on the chat, I'm glad to get this reminder. This meeting is being recorded. All your meetings will be recorded. They'll be uploaded to YouTube the day after the meeting. Then we also publish, and we have a link to those on your website page. And then we also promote those on Facebook as well. So people have ample opportunity to plug in if they wish.
Excuse me, Jim, can I make a comment? The Belgrade Lakes region has a newspaper they put out. Dick and I were just talking about the great loss to the community was the community advertiser, leaving us. That was a great source of public notices and advertisement, political and or otherwise. Have we explored the possibility of securing some space in that newspaper? I see that Winthrop's got a page, and I think they're probably trying to drum up some business, but maybe they would give us a little space for some of these public notices. Because again, I'm thinking about including some of the folks who don't have, I came across somebody today that doesn't have a computer, doesn't have email, doesn't take texts. And again, we're not talking about a 105-year-old person here. So there are some folks out there who rely on the printed word, but it's become more difficult for that to be had these days.
We'll send all the agendas to that public.
To add on to that, there are people who have businesses in Winthrop who do not live in Winthrop.
Right.
That should be the Lake Region, so Lake Region reader.
Gil, do you know if that gets distributed freely to everybody in town?
Get it?
You get it in the mailbox?
Okay.
Bi-weekly? I think. Twice a month, is that right? Once a month? Correct. Monthly, just once, yeah. So that's going to be a challenge, but
It's going to be a challenge, yeah. But again, if we set our meetings ahead of time, at least we can get some of our meetings in and point people to the website, at every opportunity that we can.
what I've seen work pretty well as well is like how Monmouth used to post meetings, summaries and stuff. So we can always put in there what we have done and then what's coming, since this is going to be at least probably a 12-month process.
Any other public comment, business to discuss?
Thanks. I think we need a motion for the twice a month.
Yeah.
And then can we add to the agendas just, introductions at the beginning? That'll prompt us.
September.
September 9th will be the next meeting, Carrie. Yeah. Yes, Mr. Absolutely. Everything's public
So,
meeting.
All right, so we should.
And
then-
we need your assistance.
Do you want to do that?
Been to a meeting where the public was invited that they weren't allowed to comment. I mean, we would welcome that, I would think.
So
Well, you can have mine, Andy.
comment? Michael, let those, go ahead, ma'am. You could email Anthony, you could email, and he could distribute it to the commission. Because we got a group email, so he can distribute it to us and we'll get you an answer. Michael, public meeting. Would you like to have public comment at the beginning of the meeting, at the end of the meeting, somewhere in between? How do you want to set that up?
My recommendation.
And
I
also
wanna-
at the end?
think
Right.
Agree.
Well, we could do it. We could do it at the beginning. We can do it at the end as well. I think we do it both ways.
Can't we just use,
Wait a minute.
Thank you.
can't-
I think that we always invite public comment, and B, we can have opening discussions open to the public for any public injection. And at the closing of the meeting, it's also open for public comment.
So, yeah,
if
so
you
I would,
forgot what you wanted to say, you can remember it before the end. Or if you want to go to bed early, you can get it on the table right now.
and it may be important, right, that
Well,
you
we-
come prepared.
can't we just use the council model?
Well,
That's
I
at the
mean,
beginning and at the end, and we don't have the manager's
We
report.
have
So
to
it would be
develop
the
our own.
beginning and the end.
Yeah.
And unless it, really got long, there would be no imposed time limit on the comment. But if it gets really long, then we always impose a 3-minute time limit on an individual comment.
it's at the chair's discretion anyways. And so I would say we should do both, right? Because if we know what people might want to bring to the table to initially address, and then if we say something throughout that meeting that you then want to readdress, it would be best to do that in both ways.
I agree,
So
both at the beginning and at the end, because I'll make that on that, with comment.
And then I was reminded that we do have a discussion of a prior motion that was discussed or brought up. If Dick wants to go ahead and revisit that. Your prior motion that you wanted to bring up.
Just, I just want transparency. I don't want one guy going in and talking with him or you or one guy without everybody. We're here for these folks, for the citizens of the town of Winthrop. They deserve better. They deserve honesty and transparency. They need to know everything. That's why we're sitting here. All of us are sitting here because of those people sitting there. Don't forget that.
Yep.
And that's all I'm asking for.
Is there something specific?
I just think, my thought is, I don't think it's fair just to have a one-on-one discussion without maybe two on one or whatever.
I mean, I think you could.
I think
That's just my opinion.
Oh, no. I think judging from what was discussed with Jim, it was for points of order
Right.
and guidance.
Right.
It wasn't anything covert or underhanded or anything else like that. It was
Right.
just a direction.
I
We've got a new chair.
So I mean, I think, I'm sorry, Bruce, I mean,
Oh, go ahead.
I think if it's official business, okay, that you want to discuss with Anthony, then it should be discussed with the commission. If it's something that you're looking to make a change in the government or a rule or an ordinance, that should be open to the public and to the commission. If I went to Anthony for guidance, and basically that's what it was. He advised me on how I should do this and how I should do that. I went to Deb for copies today. So, I mean, I asked for their assistance because like I said early in the meeting, this is my first gig in the public sector. And I'm just trying to run a clean meeting, a good meeting, and don't know how a lot of public meetings go. So, but that's what was discussed with Anthony. I'll be transparent about it. We talked a bit about my application at the first meeting. He asked me a few questions about that. I was very transparent with him, and because that's what I do. I mean, I don't hide behind anything, and that's what we have for discussion.
And hang on, comment.
I don't think we have a closed public comment. We haven't closed public comment. Andy, I'm not arguing with you. I just think that this charter is for the people and it's about the government. And we want to make, I think everybody needs to get engaged in the town, okay? If you live in this community, you need to have a say in what you really want. And they shouldn't be afraid to come to a meeting and say, I don't care if it's 10 o'clock. You want to sit here and talk? I'll talk to you till 10 o'clock. Doesn't bother me. But you gotta, I mean, I want that support from these people. I guess I'm a little, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but I'm just, I'm just being honest. I think it's time that people get more involved and instead of going to the Hannaford's and complaining about issues, come and state what you want, right?
So basically, so there is a mechanism, sorry, Gil, but there's a mechanism where you could then say if the meetings go beyond a certain point, in order for it to continue, we as a body would then have to vote to continue. Is that what you're trying to get at, Andy?
And
It's fine. I mean, we can put that on there and then, and also it's not meant to elicit responses too.
Yep. I have an issue with the 3-minute thing. Again, during the quarry thing, there's no way I could present what I had to present in 3 minutes. So now you're talking fast and you're making mistakes and you're skipping stuff. And it's not right for the folks.
Like that.
We're their charter commission.
I want to hear from you.
You got
I
it.
mean, the 3 minutes is a guide. Was it the council? It wasn't.
No, but as long, what happens sometimes, people tend to ramble about different issues that are not even pertaining to the subject matter, right? And then, I think that's up to the chair to shut that down and say, look, we're not discussing that right now. That's for the town council meeting. Okay?
That's why he's got a gavel.
Yeah, I want a heavy one. But, I think that the chair would control that. But I'm just a firm believer that all of these people that live in this town, if they want to stand there for 15 minutes and talk about one article on the charter that they want to see a proposed change in, I think they should have that opportunity. I don't think I should shut them off unless, they're off on a tangent and you got to reel them in. Right. I mean, that's just the way I see it, because I think it's important to the town. And I think when you allow that to happen, people will see that, hey, we really do care about what you have to say. It means a lot to us. We want to do the right thing. And I think we're all committed to that on this commission. I hope we are.
I think it's the chair's responsibility to curtail somebody that's trying to filibuster.
Right.
And, prolong a meeting and review the same thing over and over again. In those situations, I think that the chair who controls the meeting should let the person know that they're on a time limit. You know what I mean? And that's, that's something that we can address when we get through this.
I would agree with that.
We still have a public comment.
Go ahead. We still have public comment.
Period here in a second. Yeah.
Probably just cut it down to one.
Do you want to, so are we done with other?
Go ahead.
business? Yeah, okay.
I'm a little disappointed and confused. Article 13, you had an opportunity to agree a mission statement, and you're going out of this room having deferred it. So the very first decision that you could have made about language for the commission, et cetera, you quickly decided to defer. And I'm confused because the resolution is 2 members of the commission are going to have a discussion about it, absent the others. And I thought you were talking about rules that kind of said you wouldn't do that.
Well, I think the other commission members made a statement to say that Carrie and I should get together and formulate the mission statement. She built one, I built one.
I was on vacation.
So is that
And
kind of
so
a
I
precedent? Are all of the terms of the thing that come out going to
and-
kind of go the same way?
And the discussion can be had via email so that
Right.
it's open to everybody. You don't have to get together as two.
I don't think there's going to be a huge change here. I think
Yeah.
it's gonna,
I think, sir, I think we're trying to do the best we can and we want to do it right. We want to do it right to make everybody feel comfortable with it. And we get one chance to do this and do it right. And we're going to do it right, one way or another.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Any other comments? At this point in time, we'll close public comment. It's 7:53, 7:47, Bruce. 7:47.
And then I'll make a
Make a-
motion to adjourn.
Oop.
Simultaneous.
She seconded everything.
All in favor? Meeting is adjourned at 7:48.